I have had a very special request on Instagram for a very special video. So today I'm making the video I never wanted to make. Hi, I'm Julie Hartsfield with Heartfelt Beauty. Today we're going to address some things that were said on Instagram. I've been accused of not knowing how to formulate, stealing formulations, and all kinds of horrible things. And I understand that that's something that actually is happening. And this is a video that I'm pretty sure I'm never going to make another one like this again. Because it's your request, here you go. But I'm not going to do it like this, because this is for the work that I am proud of, my work that I'm putting out to share and help other people, not a defense of other people's accusations. The video is about to get real, so we'll get into something real. So when I first had this Instagram request, when I read all these things these people were saying, I had people saying that I stole formulas from someone else, that they called me and did all kinds of name calling and said all these horrible things about me. I mean, that they don't even know me. I mean, how could somebody say that? You know, said, how dare she quote scripture on her channel whenever she's a liar and a thief. And, you know, that was very hurtful, because I quote scripture because I lived a whole long part of my life not knowing God and not having Jesus. And now that I do, I realize that I need him in everything that I do. I don't want to do anything anymore without him, because I used to be really messed up. And I've done some I'm like everyone else. I'm a messed up, sinning human being, right? It was very, very hurtful to read these things and for someone to be saying all these horrible things to me about me on the internet that I don't even know. You know, I did think, like, oh my goodness, like this is the reason that we have 10 and 11-year-old kids committing suicide now because of social media, because of this kind of stuff. Like, now I understand. You know, I couldn't understand before. Like, God, how could somebody go kill themselves over what some stupid people on the internet are saying? But then when you have a whole mob of people that are turning against you, and they don't even know you, they don't even know the truth, but they are busy making sure that everyone who reads it knows that it's the truth, because it's their truth, and it's a horrible feeling. But I'm not 10 or 11, and I'm not going to kill myself. And I just thought, there is no way that I'm going to respond to some outrage mob on Instagram. Like, you know, forget them. You know, I was only doing this YouTube thing because I wanted to help others and give back and share. But if this is what's going to happen, and this is what the community is going to be like, and I don't even want to be a part of it. And I was angry, and I was hurt, and I just kept like, God, I'm giving this to you. So take it. Like, how come it's not going? Usually it's like, I'm giving it to you and I'm free. And it wasn't going away. And I just thought, how can this bother me so much? And I prayed, and I just said, please, Lord, please give me wisdom. Please let me understand then, why this anger? Why this vitriol? It's insane. And then, you know, I just heard in my heart, nobody speaks to somebody else like it's not natural to talk to someone like that. It's not natural to be that way. Nobody will treat another person, a stranger that they don't even know, and speak to them and say those words, defile their own mouth with death. You know, the Bible says you will not speak death over others, only speak life. Like, our words are so powerful. And someone was letting that be spoken over another person. Like, it can only come from pain and suffering. And I realized, like, this person, these people have been so incredibly hurt by somebody who's done this. And then I realized, like, even more, like, the worst type of hurt, like, it's like betrayal. Being hurt by someone is one thing, but like betrayal and the pain of that is, it's a big, just festering wound inside. And I realized, if I don't respond and I don't show that this is not the case, then I'm leaving that on another person. And where is it? I wrote it down because I don't have scripture memorized. But I remembered Romans 14:13, because I kept thinking, like, this, I'm leaving a stumbling block. This is the stumbling block. And Romans 14:13 says, "Therefore let us not judge one another anymore, but rather determine this, not to put an obstacle or a stumbling block in a brother's way." And I realized that if I just let this go and say, whatever, I don't need this, then I'm leaving someone with that anger inside of them over something that's a lie. I mean, something that's not even true. And I can't do that. I love everyone, honestly. I love the people who are angry at me for something that they, whatever. I do not want to have someone else have to experience that, especially because of something that they only think I did. That's why I'm going to make this video, because I want to take that off of someone else's heart and off of someone else's mind, and to make it easier on them. So I'm going to take you through the formulation. I was requested on my HD setting powder formulation to see how I got there and where it came from and all of that, and how I came up with the name, and then also see if I understand how much money and time goes into it. And now my husband's home. There's also a belief in the DIY beauty community that two people who have two different small brands, two different formulators, who have access to the same limited materials that all other small brands do, who set out to make the same type of product and go through their experiments, would not come up with a similar formulation. And that if you see someone else with a formula, that the only answer is that it's stolen. And, I guess I could understand that. So I had some requests to provide, proof of, how I got to my formulation. And I think telling you my background a little bit, how I got here, will be part of you understanding where I'm coming from and how I got to making YouTube videos. Next May will mark my 27-year anniversary of being a licensed cosmetologist. I love the beauty industry. I have loved my career. I love doing hair, and I love people, and I love learning. I'm in love with what I do. I am so incredibly blessed. 15 of those 27 years, I had the honor and privilege of being an educator for, I don't know what they are now, but then was the second largest hair color company in the world. I traveled all over the country, and I taught hairdressers everything about hair color, application, formulation, trends, technique. I taught coloring and cutting and styling and long hair dressing, and I did shows, and I did all kinds of things. And it was amazing, and it was fun, and I really learned so much more than just about hair. And I was so lucky to be able to be very trained in what I did. 8 of those 15 years, that was my full-time job. I didn't work in the salon. All I did was go into salons and shows and teach and educate and share with other hairdressers and learn the latest and the greatest and the newest innovation and the latest trends. While I was working for that company, they were owned by Procter and Gamble. So I was an employee of Procter and Gamble. And any cosmetic chemist who is working in the personal care beauty industry right now will understand the gravity of that. You know, how lucky I was to be immersed in such an environment where I had access to the R&D and the innovation, the training, you know, the marketing, the sales. You know, P&G is, they're huge. They have an amazing R&D, and they bought a professional color company because they had innovation that was so industry changing. They could not funnel it into their retail market, so they had to have a professional avenue to funnel that new technology into. And I loved it. It was amazing. About 11 years ago, whenever I was pregnant with my son, I injured my back, and specifically my sacroiliac joint. And it was a serious injury. It was debilitating. It was horrible. It was probably the worst time of my life. It was a horrible time. And when my son was born, I had to leave my job. I could barely walk. I could barely sit. I couldn't do anything. I could barely function. I could barely take care of my newborn son. And how could I do a job that involved, you know, up to 75% travel? So I left my job as an educator, went back into the salon. Started over from scratch. Not one client. I'd been out of the salon for 8 years at that point and started over. And I did. I rebuilt, and it was great. I worked as an independent contractor for the hair color company and was able to teach some classes and stay up on it, but I was afraid to do too much because, you know, whenever my back just got messed up, and sometimes I just couldn't stand up. Griffin, stop chewing on your feet. In 2015, I married my angel of a husband, and shortly after that, I went really downhill. I started having very serious problems with my back. I had been pretty stable. It was bad, and it was scary. And I had people suggesting that I, you know, apply for disability and stop working. And it was terrifying. It was terrifying. I'd already lost my identity as Julie Miller hair color educator. And then now I could lose my identity as Julie Miller hairdresser. And what would I be if I wasn't that? That was all I'd known since I was 17 years old. And I tried all kinds of things. I was desperate to find something that maybe I could make money, work less behind the chair, make money at something. And I did all kinds of things. And I mean, it was horrible. While I was looking online for potions and creams and things that I could rub on my body, I was already on high-powered medication and getting injections and all kinds of things, but, you know, whatever I could find that helped. And I found this balm. It was a balm of some sort that was infused with, you know, oils infused with anti-inflammatory type herbs and things. And so I bought it and I used it, and it didn't really help my back. It helped my neck and my sore shoulders, but it didn't do anything for my back. But it, you know, it made me think, and my thumb was really jacked up. I ended up having to have surgery, but my thumb was so bad, I was having to cut lidocaine patches up and put them on my hand and wear a glove so I could finish cutting hair and get through the day. So it was bad, you know, and I would rub that stuff all over my hand and wear a glove and sleep with it at night. So in that process, I was like, why can't I find, I could make this and I could probably make it stronger and better. And so I did research and I started making my own herbal infused oils, and I made some anhydrous formulations, sticks and balms and things. And the stuff I made was good. It worked. It helped relieve pain, more muscular pain. And it was arnica mostly. But, it was an anhydrous formulation. And I thought, why can't I make something less greasy? I need to make a cream, a lotion, an emulsion. So I start researching. And that's how I found Susan Barclay-Nichols' blog, Swift Crafty Monkey. And I fell down all these rabbit holes, and I did all my research. I ended up making my lotion, and it was great and fun and wonderful, and then I'm like, oh, why can't I make more products? If I can make a lotion, why can't I make a moisturizer or foot cream or hand cream or a conditioner or makeup, foundation? So I started experimenting, and I didn't have enough sense, being always the overachiever that I tend to be. I said, you know what I really want to create? A waterproof lotion for hairdressers, so I could put it on at the beginning of the day, keep my hands moisturized while I shampoo, and it won't just wash off. But I could have lotion, and usually, after you get out of the water, you dry your hands, you put the lotion on, and then you start cutting someone's hair, and then you get lotion in their hair, and then it's all gross. So I thought, oh, yeah, no big deal. I'll just invent some, hairdresser hands, waterproof lotion. And, I started learning about polymers, and, you're like, oh, man, yeah, I think I dove over the cliff too fast on that. But that is what led me to my formula for my Glitter Fix lotion. And that's a lotion that, if you are wearing something sparkly, you're getting married and you want a shimmer, or you are at a festival and you have glitter or something, it is a water-resistant, transfer, smudge-resistant, sweat-proof lotion that will hold whatever sparkly stuff on your skin. And that's how I came up with that formula. I have been very, very, very lucky. I am very blessed. I have been able to spend lots of money on ingredients, getting to learn this craft and this hobby. I have formulated so many things, and as I was giving samples and doing things, and I had all these people like, oh my gosh, I want to buy that. Oh my gosh, that's the best lotion. That's the best this. I'm like, please, can't I buy some from you? And it's like, well, you can't really buy it from me. But if I'm going to do this, then let me do it right. So I started doing the research and figuring out what I needed to do. And Heartfelt Beauty is an LLC. It is my brand that I sell in my salon. I do have product liability insurance on my products. And I have tons of samples laying around. I'm going to show you, testing for my stability and all these things. And the more that I developed, the more products that I developed, and as I was formulating, when I wanted to learn, there was nowhere to learn. I wanted to find videos where someone showed me how to formulate and how to experiment and how to change things up. I found formulas and I found how-tos on a specific product, but I didn't have a system of how I should run experiments. And I realized that I'm very, very lucky, and I wanted to be able to share my blessings with others. I would look at comments on YouTube videos, and I would see that there were people who wouldn't make more than a 5-gram sample because they couldn't afford to waste supplies and materials, or they would save up. They would have $100 to spend, and would have to pick what are the most important things that I could use in the most formulations that I should order, and it won't be another month or two before I can order more. And I just think I am so lucky that I've been able to do what I've done and have access to the materials that I've done and to be in the position that I am. And, I just wanted to share. I I love sharing and teaching. Like, that's just part of me. And I missed it. And I missed the connecting with other people and just the giving to other people that I don't have in my life anymore. And I prayed and I just said, Lord, tell me what I can do. Like, how do I share this? And that day I turned on YouTube and I saw Tara Lee. And, she's just so sweet and so just sweet and cute and positive. And, she has her videos. And I just thought, wow, that's cool. And so, I'd watched her videos for a while. And then I was like, man, I think I'm going to give her some money through Patreon because she's doing a good job and I'm watching her videos. So I feel like I should be contributing. So I joined her Patreon and I asked her, like, hey, what do you think about, I'd like to start a YouTube channel. What do you think about that? I mean, do you feel like some person is going to come from your Patreon community and become your competition, and she's like, well, of course not. Like, there's hardly anybody, there's not enough people doing it on YouTube. Like, that'd be awesome. I was like, I do a lot of makeup formulas and hair product formulas, and, I wouldn't be doing the same things you would be doing. And she's like, whatever, like, there's enough moisturizer in the world to go around. So I thought, great. And that's when I started making videos. So I started my channel. So the formula for what I called HD setting powder came from inspiration by a whole bunch of other products that were out when I started the formulation they were called HD setting powder. And originally, and I did find an old sample of one of them, and it was called HD Prime and Set. That was my first name. And none of my clients knew what that meant. They couldn't understand because when, we were putting the powder, you put the powder on, then the foundation over top of it, and it was like a oil absorbing, mattifying primer powder or a setting powder. But none of my clients got it. So I just said, forget it. I'm just sticking with a basic descriptive name because that's the best thing to do. And you have a little tiny label because to follow labeling laws, you need to, if the name of your product is not descriptive, to understand what it's for, you have to have a descriptor under that on the PDP, the principal display panel of your product. I changed it to HD setting powder. I used the same description that Debella Journal does on her formulation. The wrinkle blurring and light diffusing, which, I mean, is it really that unheard of that two people can choose the same words? The only thing that I have ever seen that she has done is the handful of YouTube videos that she has, and I hadn't even seen all of those. I started watching them after all this happened, and I pulled up her YouTube channel, and I'm like, oh, here's a video. It's a newer one, and it's like products in action or something like that. And, I was looking, I'm like, oh, wow, she shops at the same places. She shops at cosmetics. She has the same beauty blenders and applicators and the same little pump bottles and everything, a lot of things that I have. Like, I shop there too, and we have a lot of the same things. And then I noticed, like, oh, she has the gold makeup stick applicator. Like, she must have, I don't know if she shopped at DIY Pack before they went out of business, but I know after, when they were having their giant closeout, when they were closing down, I took advantage and I bought a whole bunch of those. And there's just tons of stuff that, like, she has the same thing. She shops at Just Pigments too. I mean, there's all kinds of things. Like, I noticed, like, okay, yeah, she has a lot of the same stuff. But I swear on the Bible that I have never laid my eyes on one formula or one thing that she has ever made outside of whatever you see on YouTube right now at this moment. And, apparently I use the same description. I don't know how many ways to describe wrinkle blurring or light diffusing. Like, wrinkle blurring is a pretty standard, it's how many things say that it's wrinkle blurring? I mean, that was, I don't know how to explain it to you. I mean, I don't understand how many descriptors you can come up with besides that. Understanding the way that the light bounces off and the silica microspheres work to help diffuse the light and change the lines. You know, it's very simple to me. That's how we explain dye molecules and color and the way the eye sees color and the light reflects and how that affects what you see. And I think saying, oh, you have someone's formula and you even took the same name because I said HD setting powder. I mean, that's like if I had a makeup setting spray that I called makeup setting spray and someone said, you must have stolen her formula because you have makeup setting spray. And I'm like, I mean, isn't that just a descriptive name of a product? I mean, there's tons of HD setting powders. I've seen articles saying, what's the difference between an HD powder, a setting powder, and a finishing powder? It's a category of product. It's not a name. So I think it's just a little crazy. That specific formula that I showed on my YouTube channel, I believe was version 3B. So when I formulate, when I have my list of ingredients, that'll be one version. And then when I change the ratios around, one configuration will be formula A, and then I do adjustments, and that's formula B, and so on. I don't think I've ever gotten farther than F, because usually if I've done that many experiments, usually I stop and ask myself, is there something else that I could change out or add to this formulation that's going to provide what I'm looking for? Because after this many tries, I should be closer, and that's when I usually will change my ingredients a little bit and start again. That's all I got on that. Like, you can believe it or not, I don't think it is that far-fetched. You have a little handful of cosmetic powders available to use. And when you're trying to make a translucent, non-whitening, light diffusing setting powder, there are only so many things you can use. And I don't think it's that far-fetched that two people would experiment and end up coming up with something pretty close when they're trying to achieve the same product. I mean, I don't see how that's that unbelievable. When I did the breaking down the matte liquid lipstick formulation, and I'd actually talked to someone who I'd shared it with, and it's like, oh, well, I make all kinds of formulations using flake resin, and but you can have it pre-dissolved, and I just write mixing medium, and I just have it, and usually a 25% dilution is what I found is strong enough when I add it into the formulation to still give me the properties I want, but not too much, and so that's what I do. And I'm like, oh, I think I'm going to put that on my YouTube channel, because then I can show how to make that one thing, and then lots of videos afterwards, I'll just have that, and I won't have to do the 30 minutes of dissolving flake resin. And someone told me, like, no, you don't want to do that. There's people who sell it. They sell that as an ingredient in their shops. There are people who sell that as a formulation, and there's people who use it and use variations of it and all this, and you don't want to do that. And I'm like, that's ludicrous. That's two ingredients that are in a formula that is on, like, if anybody makes makeup, if they only know one website, they know TKB Trading. How can somebody say that I stole that? So that's insane. You're crazy. Have more faith. It'll be fine. It is just mixing up two products and putting them together. That's not stealing anyone's formulation. I guess they knew something that I didn't. Then there was also a post that said people saying that people who take other people's formulations. People don't understand how much work goes into a formula, how much money we spend on supplies, equipment, textbook, classes, how much time we spend studying, how much time we observe the product to ensure stability. When someone uses our work for their own gain, they're taking so much from us and claiming it is theirs. And I 100% agree. All of those things are true. I'm going to show you exactly why I agree. And that, yes, I understand how much work goes into a formula and how much money It also says, if anyone sees a formula that they think isn't created by that DIYer, ask them to explain why they used each ingredient and why they used that amount, which I think I did on all my videos for them. So I don't think I need to break that down on this video. Ask them when they made the first batch, how many batches they made before finding the formula they're sharing, how long they observed it. Ask for pictures. I actually don't take pictures of my formula as I observe it, but that is actually a very good idea and a good point. And I think that I will start doing that because that is a really awesome point. Oh, yes, another OMG, another valid point, she should. There was also allegation, like someone that I don't understand. So if somebody wants to explain this to me, please do. She's doing what Marie Rama is doing to you and did to her. I don't know what that means. Yeah, I know who Marie Rama is, but whatever. Now this punk is trying really hard and even made a guide like DeBella Journal is doing now. So I don't know really what that means, but maybe someone can enlighten me. I have spent the last year working on making a base, pressing bases for pressed powders, eye pencil and eye crayon bases, simple things so that with one formula and a base that you, as long as you have everything and you pre-make this base, you can add a couple of things to it and easily make all types of products where you don't have to have 5 million things. The people online who say, I want to make makeup, like what are the few things that if I could only buy a few things that I could have and what should I get? It would make that easy. And I've been working on it. You know, now I don't know if I might just scrap the whole thing because I know I looked at DeBella Journal's Instagram and like I saw a post where she said, oh, I'm showing you, I think it was 16 ways to make pressed powder cosmetics or something like that. And I'm thinking, wow, 16. Like, I have the way I do it. I've tried all kinds of things. I know the method that I've done that seems to be the easiest for me and the less mess and the less headache. I have videos already made showing how to do that I was going to share. And I think now, like, can no one now share what they do? Because if you have someone who is put up on a site how they do things, everything that comes out from people after that is going to look like they stolen it from them. So I'm sure the way that I do it, I'm sure she's covered it. So that, I mean, will that just make me seem like a thief? I mean, I don't know. I don't understand. I'm going to show you how much money I have spent, how much time I have spent. And believe me, I haven't in the last 48 hours gone and overnighted tens of thousands of dollars worth of products and ingredients and raw materials and packaging to my house and whipped up hundreds of samples of products and made all of these things and done this so I could make this video to make myself right before you. But I have spent tens of thousands of dollars. I have spent a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of effort in this. And I really do hope that anyone who actually has done this will look at what I'm going to show you and say, and you'll see, you'll understand. You'll look at all this and say, yeah, that's a serious dedication. I'm not just playing around and stealing people's formulas and changing a couple of ingredients. I have come up with every single formula that I've made. And at this point, I don't even know if it's worth sharing because it's kind of like doing hair. You know, everything you look at, someone else can see it for the first time or it seems new to you, and here's a hairdresser like me who's been doing this almost 30 years, and you realize like every haircut is only a combination of 6 different forms of haircuts. I mean, there's not a whole lot that's new, but it's put together different, and you're like, oh, that looks exactly like how so-and-so, did it like this or that. But, but it doesn't make it any less that person's art. Like how many ways can you get a makeup to stick together? How many ways can you form a certain type of cosmetic? You can change out different ingredients, but what do we really have available to us as small brands and formulators, and a lot of the high performing materials, there's only that many of them. If you're looking for a certain type of performance and not thinking about natural products, that is not my focus, then it would make sense that some formulations would be very, very similar. And I don't know, I've never watched anything but DeBella Journal's videos, but apparently, like, maybe she's my spirit animal or something. I can't, maybe if when I was looking through the internet trying to find help and figuring out how to create makeup, if I would have found her and I could have started with her, how much farther along would I be now? Where would I be in formulating now? Because I've had to spend a whole lot of time getting to where I'm at now. So I'm going to take you on a little tour of my life in cosmetic chemistry. Behind my green screen where I film, I keep lots of my raw materials. I have purchased just about every ingredient that has ever seem interesting or useful to me, and have tried it and have used it and experimented with it so I could get to know it in my formulations. I have preservatives and pH adjusters. I have my fatty alcohols and esters and emulsifiers, solubilizers, tons of different things. And not everything is up here because I have some projects kind of set aside that I've been working on. But I have oils and emollients. These are my extracts that are not in the fridge with the actives. Waxes and butters. This basket has my polymers inside, things that I use for making water-resistant lotions, hair styling products. It also has my instant cold emulsifiers and my deo concentrate in that basket. But a lot of the things that I use for my hair styling products are inside here. I have gelling materials, carbomers, thickeners, all kinds of thickeners and gellants back here. These are my small containers of surfactants, and these are my powdered surfactants. So I have all kinds of powdered surfactants, things that I can use for making anything from shampoo bars to powdered cleansers to bath bombs. I have lots of silicones. I think every silicone I've ever seen, I have given a try. Thank you, Balassi at Chemist Corner, for the dimethicone petrolatum suggestion. That stuff's pretty cool. I also have my water-soluble stuff, proteins, humectants, hydrosols, all kinds of things like that down here on the bottom. I have my large bags of powder, things I use a lot of, like tapioca starch and kale and clay. My basic emulsifying wax, and just some extra things. This is how many lip glosses and liquid lipsticks I make. So I have all of these syringes are for filling products, but I use them mostly for lip gloss. These are my large surfactants, all of my gallons and glycerin. These are my dried herbs and flowers. I have dried roses, lavender, you name it. Eucalyptus, passion flower, schizandra berries, comfrey. I have all kinds of different things. A lot of these I use for making the pain cream I talked about earlier in my video. This is kind of a place for random powders, things that I don't really have a place to put it. Buttermilk powder, urea, Penstia powder, sorbitol, charcoal, caffeine, honey powder, menthol. Arrowroot powder and calamine powder, the famous TKB thickening clay, all kinds of powdery bags of powdery things. My dry flow tapioca starch that I love so dearly. Things for bath bombs. This is just a few fragrance oils, a cabinet with my, some of my mixing things and supplies. Speaking of fragrance oils, here are a lot of my other ones, and this is where I have my aroma chemicals, absolutes, resins, and solutions. I got tired of using other people's fragrance oils, and I'm in the process of developing my own signature scent so that I can put that into my lotions and my Heartfelt Beauty line. And I'm getting really close. This has been a really awesome project. And I never have been that much into perfume, but I've been having a really amazing time playing with perfumery and learning all the different aroma chemicals. And I'm getting really close. I do think that I'm almost done with my signature scent. Those are my fragrance oils that are compatible with my Reed diffuser base that I'm selling in my salon this holiday season, and some of my extra packaging. I also have a few of my little samples. You have to make lots of little samples and let them age. These are my eau de toilette samples of different fragrance blends. This is my cabinet with my color cosmetics. It's not full yet. Those are a few fragrance oils. No, flavor oils. My lip liquids. My husband just built these, so I'm still organizing. Those are my iron oxides that are in small containers. These are all my micas, or most of them. Every mica I've purchased so that I could get some experience. Definitely have different times I like to use different ones. I really like the matte mica from Just Pigments. It's nice to have the most matte mica for certain things. These are different ingredients that are additives to improve slip and glide. A lot of, silica, microspheres, silicone elastomer, PMSQ, blends with those type of things like the wrinkle blur from Making Cosmetics. These are my micas. These are some of my more popular lipstick and lip gloss micas. These are my pinks, mostly for lip color. Some I use for blushes. And my really sparkly, shiny, reflective reds and pinks in that basket. These are all the colors that I use for eyeshadows and eyeliners. So browns, blacks, greens, blues, yellow, violets, all of those kind of colorful micas that don't fit into pinks and reds or whites. And I have a ton of shades to have fun with. These are all of my white micas. So they're either white blends or they're, the different reflective micas like TKB's, highlight blue or highlight gold. But basically anything that looks white is in this basket. These are the micas that I use for blushes, highlighters, and bronzers. So anything close to skin tone, bronze, or metallic. So I also have like my coppers and golds behind the bronzes. These are my iron oxides. So iron oxide, titanium dioxide, chromium oxides. I put the iron oxides in the small plastic containers while I'm doing, just small experiments. And then I just refill them out of the large bags to make it easier on me, so I'm not scooping out of gigantic bags when I'm mixing up just one eyeshadow. And these are my additives, my cosmetic powder additives. So pretty much everything that everyone is familiar with, all of the powders that we know of that we add into eyeshadows, blushes, makeup formulations. That's my arbor press. I don't have a powder press because they're ridiculous expensive, but that is an arbor press that is $50 from Harbor Freight. So you can turn that into a powder press very easy for $50. And that's what I use to press my makeup. These are just the formulations that I have not been able to enter into my computer yet. So I try to keep things organized and record the different formulas. Usually I keep track of different versions and then I keep just my final formulas all together in one place. But these are just the ones that in my, crazy mad scientistness, I write them all down and they're just waiting for whenever I can grab a few and enter them into the computer and get rid of my giant stacks of paper. But I have tons of formulas there for every kind of product and makeup and everything that you can imagine. Those are a few samples of things. These are a few other samples of things that I am testing for stability, things that I've been trying and using and just testing out the different versions of the product. I have all different types of products here. You can see I have the different, what I called mixing mediums, my different powders, some of the different bases I have for eye pencils and lip pencils, different pressed powders and makeups, some that haven't passed drop testing, and all kinds of other things. I just threw away a whole bunch of stuff that was over a year old. These are lip pencils, eye pencils, lip crayons. I have made hundreds of pencils and have tested trying to create a simple base that could be a universal base for all types of pencil applications. These are some more of my pencils and crayons, the different versions. I usually, label them with which version they are, and then I will letter the shade that is. You can see I have things for eyeliner bases, lip bases, matte lipstick bases, also a cream eyeshadows, and a universal base that I've been working on. You can see how many lip pencils exactly I make and that I plan to make. I really took advantage of DIY Packs closeout when they were going out of business. And these are amazing lip pencils. These are the samples of hair styling products that I'm testing in my salon right now that I use on various clients and style out their hair and see how I like it. I only have one type of hair, so I have to do testing on my clients. This is a picture of the press bases that I've been making for Press Powder Cosmetics, and these are the formulation guides that I had put together. So I had small ones to include with purchases that give you the basic formula for the different types of formulations: shimmer eyeshadow, pigmented eyeshadow, matte eyeshadow, those kind of things. And then I had my deluxe guide that I was going to put with some nicer kits that I was going to set up. And it has all the formulations and the step by step on how to use the bases and make your own makeup. Well, that's all I got. So, believe it or not, but I really do hope that anyone who was angry over a lie, I pray that you find peace. And we really all should share a little more beauty and spread a little more love. God bless. I'll see you soon.